the generator process is very much like systems theory. So if you're familiar with systems theory, you know that in systems theory, you have surges of growth in a system, and then a system will eventually outgrow its capacity. And when it outgrows its capacity, it'll disintegrate, right? And so actually, when we look at, I think when we look at what's happening on the planet right now, is we're actually at the end of our, I mean, we've reached capacity. And now we're end of a systematic cycle, and things are disintegrating so that new systems can emerge, right? So generators, when they reach the end of that growth capacity, they've reached the edge of that growth curve. Two things are going to happen. They're either going to have a next surge in growth, or things are going to disintegrate. Or they'll stay the course, but that disintegration will eventually catch up with them. Because if the generator sits on that plateau and that frustration doesn't go away because they were supposed to quit, or they were supposed to change the narrative, how many times does the lesson stay? The lesson stays consistent until the generator gets the message. And then there's the next growth cycle, right? So, that edge of that, the end of that plateau, or that plateau, is really a symptom of reaching the edge of growth capacity. And if something doesn't shift and the generator quits, then they're just stuck in that hamster wheel. If they get to the edge of that plateau and they realize, okay, the story has to shift, I need to do this to change the dynamic. Or in some cases, I need to keep building the foundation of who I am and what I'm doing so that I can be prepared for the next surge. Knowing how to read that is essential. Your sacral will respond to taking you into situations that are going to teach you things. And sometimes it teaches you things by showing you what you don't want first, because you need to be in it to go, okay, wait, not this anymore. And that's really actually kind of true to a certain degree, I think, of anybody that learns to follow strategy in the beginning, but really for the generators, because it's so immediate, that sacral, you know, it's so much easier than I have to heal my body and my self-worth and then learn to take the right invitations. That's not as immediate as the sacral response, right? And really helping the generator learn that they're in a feedback loop with that sacral. So they respond and they get something. That something that shows up is a mirror. And if they don't like what's in that reflection, to go, there's something in this plateau here that I need to change to have a breakthrough, so that I don't just keep going back up to this very same plateau with this very same story and this very same experience over and over again. Sometimes you just need somebody to give you a series of sacral questions. Like to have somebody sit with you and say, do you still need to hang with this experience? Is this the right experience for you? Do you need to stay with it? Do you need to quit? Are you quitting correctly? Is it okay for you to sit and not know what's next, but quit anyway? Is it time for you to quit? Do you need to stay with it? You know, all of those questions, I think, will help the generator clarify the sacral response. And I think, you know, we have to remember, the generator is a people who needs people, right? This is somebody that is in an, you know, the generators need relationships. They're not manifesting generators and manifestors. And really that not needing, again, is about the internal clarity and the internal process. It's really, you know, the generator especially really benefits from that external sacral support, right? You know, a generator should have in their back pocket a good projector friend, and they could say, hey, I'm feeling really frustrated in my life right now. Can you help me? Okay, let me ask you, you know, have the projector ask them some good questions, because it is through that responding that the clarity happens. How many times do generators sit frustrating and stewing and struggling and not knowing what to do, when having somebody say to them, is it time for you to quit? And have them go, oh, okay. One question 2 seconds later, right? And now you have the clarity. Or somebody can say, do you need to hang with it a little bit longer? Are you about to have a breakthrough? Is it okay for you to wait for a little bit more? Is there anything you need to do while you're waiting? You know, to have those, just to get that clarity. And, you know, those of you who are generator types, somebody who can really ask you a good set of sacral questions something that you're going to sit with and grapple with and wrestle with internally in the most yuckiest of ways sometimes, that frustrated just feeling, to have somebody be able to come in and just slice through all that with like 3 good questions is phenomenal. Like the energy release with that is phenomenal. And so that would be my first answer. And of course, the second answer is, what's showing up in your world that's showing you what's next? And if you're feeling stuck, particularly if you're feeling stuck in a story, like you're in a repeating cycle, what in the cycle, what in the story needs to shift to get a different outcome? If you were going to change the story, what would you change?